First strike. The quantum detection grid lit up like a Christmas tree at 3:42 Earth Standard Time. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the center of Olympus Command, buried 3 kilometers beneath the Martian surface, watching as thousands of energy signatures materialized at the edge of the solar system. Her dark eyes narrowed as she studied the holographic display, decades of experience evident in her calm demeanor. "Contact classification?" she asked, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. Lieutenant Rodriguez, the youngest officer on deck, responded without looking up from his console. "Matches Federation patterns, Admiral. 98% probability. We're looking at approximately 3,000 vessels, including what appears to be their flagship, the Star Ascendant." Chen allowed herself a small smile. The Federation's arrival was right on schedule, just as the Mars archives had predicted. For 300 years, humanity had prepared for this moment, ever since the discovery of the ruins beneath Olympus Mons. The warning left by the ancient resistance movement had been clear. The Galactic Federation would come, as they always did, expecting to find another primitive civilization ready for uplifting and subjugation. "Initiate Protocol Shadowfall," Chen commanded. Across the solar system, humanity's greatest deception began to unfold. On Earth, civilian satellites continued their usual chatter about weather patterns and television broadcasts. The handful of military satellites maintained their predictable orbits, presenting the perfect picture of a civilization just beginning to reach for the stars. Deep beneath the oceans, hidden lunar bases, and scattered throughout the asteroid belt, humanity's real technology stirred to life. The Federation fleet moved with practiced precision, their formation a perfect geometric pattern that spoke of countless successful conquests. Their first transmission arrived exactly as the archives had predicted it would. The main screen flickered to life, revealing High Commander Ven of the Galactic Federation. His crystalline skin caught the light, creating rainbow patterns that had likely intimidated countless other species. "People of Earth," he began, his translator rendering his words into perfect English, "I bring greetings from the Galactic Federation. Your civilization has been chosen for elevation into our grand alliance of species." Chen stepped forward, activating the carefully crafted hologram that would represent Earth's response. To the Federation, she would appear to be speaking from a modest military facility in Geneva, not an advanced command center on Mars. "This is Admiral Chen of the Earth Defense Force. We are honored by your arrival." "Your response is noted," Ven replied, his tone carrying that particular mixture of condescension and false benevolence that the archives had described in detail. "We have observed your civilization's development and determined you are ready for inclusion in the Federation. Resistance has proven historically futile. Accept our guidance, and your transition will be peaceful." Chen maintained her diplomatic smile. "We request 24 hours to consult with Earth's various governments. Surely you understand the need for proper diplomatic procedure." Ven's crystalline features shifted in what the archives had identified as amusement. "You have 12 hours. Use them wisely." The transmission ended. In the real command center on Mars, Chen turned to her staff. "Status of the Phantom Fleet." Colonel Zhang's hands danced across his quantum interface console. "All ships report ready, Admiral. The Federation's sensors are completely blind to them, just as the archives predicted. Their scanning technology hasn't evolved significantly in 3 centuries. That had been humanity's greatest advantage. While the Federation had stagnated, confident in their technological superiority, humanity had taken the warnings in the Mars archives and evolved beyond them. Every piece of technology it had found had been studied, improved upon, and in many cases, completely reimagined. "Deploy the quantum mesh," Chen ordered. Across the solar system, microscopic satellites activated, creating an invisible web of energy that would prevent any faster-than-light travel. The Federation fleet was now trapped in normal space, though they didn't know it yet. "Admiral," Lieutenant Rodriguez called out, his voice tight with excitement, "we're detecting energy buildups in their weapon systems. They're not waiting for the full 12 hours. Chen nodded. Of course they weren't. The archives had documented the Federation's standard procedure. Offer terms, wait briefly to maintain the appearance of diplomacy, then strike hard and fast to prevent any real resistance from forming. They had used the same tactics for 10,000 years, but humanity had been preparing for this moment for centuries. Their apparent technological level, their rockets, their satellites, their modest space stations, was humanity's greatest deception. The real Earth Defense Force was something else entirely. All stations, Chen commanded, her voice carrying to every hidden facility and cloaked ship in the solar system. Initiate Operation Dawnbreaker. Let's show the Federation why they should have looked more carefully at their primitive neighbors. The revolution was about to begin, and this time, humanity would be the ones leading it. Hidden Arsenal. The Federation's first strike came exactly as the Mars archives had predicted. A massive energy barrage designed to overwhelm primitive planetary defenses and disable key military installations. 3,000 ships fired in perfect synchronization, their weapons turning space itself into a canvas of destructive light. But Earth wasn't there. High Commander Ven watched in disbelief as the carefully coordinated attack passed through empty space where Earth had been moments before. The planet hadn't moved. It was still there, still spinning serenely in its orbit, but somehow the energy weapons had passed through it as if it were a hologram. Impossible, he whispered, his crystalline form refracting light in patterns that revealed his agitation. Scan the planet again. Full spectrum. In the Mars Command Center, Admiral Chen watched the Federation's confusion with grim satisfaction. Status of the Quantum Mirror Defense Grid. Dr. Maya Patel, head of the Quantum Physics Division, looked up from her displays with pride. Performing perfectly. Admiral, the Federation's energy weapons are being redirected into subspace, exactly as designed. They literally can't touch us. This was humanity's first gift from the Mars archives. The understanding that space itself could be folded in microscopic ways, creating paths for energy to follow. What the Federation saw as solid matter could become as permeable as air if you understood the underlying physics well enough. Sir, Lieutenant Rodriguez called out, the Federation fleet is repositioning. They're moving to surround the planet in a tighter formation. Chen nodded. Right on schedule. Begin Phase 2. Across the solar system, humanity's hidden arsenal began to reveal itself. From beneath the surface of Venus, massive thermal cannons emerged from their camouflaged positions. Inside Jupiter's radiation belt, stealth destroyers dropped their quantum cloaking fields, and in the asteroid belt, thousands of automated defense platforms awakened from their centuries-long slumber. On the bridge of the Star Ascendant, High Commander Ven received report after report of impossible sensor readings. My commander, his science officer reported, voice trembling, we're detecting technology that shouldn't exist. These energy signatures, these material compositions, they're centuries beyond what this world should be capable of. How? Ven demanded, his crystalline form pulsing with angry light. They're satellites. They're primitive spacecraft. We've been watching them for decades. The answer came in the form of a transmission from Earth. Admiral Chen's hologram appeared on the Star Ascendant's bridge. But this time, the backdrop wasn't a simple military office. Instead, she stood in the true Olympus Command, surrounded by technology that made the Federation's finest ships look obsolete. High Commander Ven, Chen said, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of preparation. I believe it's time we had an honest conversation about the Mars archives and about the resistance movement that left them for us to find. Ven's crystalline form went completely still. The archives were destroyed 3 centuries ago. We made certain of it. Chen smiled. Did you? Or did you find exactly what we wanted you to find? You see, Commander, humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to learn, to adapt, and most importantly, to keep a secret. Around Earth, The quantum mesh tightened, preventing any possibility of faster-than-light escape. The Federation fleet was trapped in normal space, surrounded by weapons and defenses they'd never imagined possible. The archives warned us about you, Chen continued, about how the Federation finds developing civilizations, offers them guidance, and then slowly strips away their independence, about how you suppress innovation, maintain your power through carefully controlled technology sharing, and eliminate any species that develops too quickly or in ways you can't control. The Federation's response came not from Ven, but from deeper within their fleet. A massive vessel, previously cloaked, revealed itself. Its design was different from the others. Older, more organic, more advanced. So, a new voice transmitted, ancient and powerful. The children have found their inheritance at last. How inconvenient. Chen's expression hardened. She recognized that ship from the archive's deepest, most heavily encrypted files. The true power behind the Federation had finally revealed itself, and the real battle was about to begin. All forces, she commanded, her voice carrying to every hidden ship and base in the solar system. Prepare for Phase 3. The archives warned us about this too, and we've been preparing something special for our ancient friends. The next few hours would determine not just Earth's fate, but the future of the entire galaxy. Humanity had planned for this moment for 3 centuries, but even the Mars archives couldn't predict everything. The time had come to see if humanity's preparations would be enough to challenge not just the Federation, but the ancient power that controlled it from the shadows. Counteroffensive. The ancient vessel hung in space like a dark star, its organic metallic surface rippling with patterns that hurt the eyes to look at. Admiral Chen studied the readings from Olympus Command, remembering the warnings from the Mars archives about this particular threat. The precursors, as the archives had called them, were supposed to be long extinct. Clearly, at least one had survived. Interesting deception, little ones. The ancient voice resonated through every communication channel simultaneously, using our own archives against us. How innovative. But do you truly believe that reading our old texts makes you our equals? Chen's response was not words, but action. Execute Protocol Sunbreaker, she commanded. Across the solar system, hundreds of quantum gates activated simultaneously. The Federation fleet watched in stunned silence as ships began emerging from the gates. Human ships, but unlike anything they'd seen in Earth's orbit. These vessels were sleek, advanced, and numerous. Very numerous. Impossible, High Commander Ven whispered, his crystalline form clouded with confusion. Their system has been under constant surveillance. These ships, they can't exist. Oh, but they do, Chen replied, allowing herself a moment of satisfaction. Did you really think Earth was humanity's only home? While you watched our planet, counting our rockets and satellites, we were building colonies in other star systems. The Mars archives didn't just warn us about you, they showed us how to hide from you. The precursor vessel's surface patterns shifted, displaying what might have been amusement. And yet you reveal this now. Perhaps we overestimated your strategic capabilities. Did you? Chen asked. She nodded to Dr. Patel, who activated a sequence that had been waiting for 3 centuries. Suddenly, the quantum mesh that had been preventing faster-than-light travel transformed. Instead of simply blocking FTL travel, it began to resonate at a very specific frequency, one that the archives had indicated would be particularly uncomfortable for precursor technology. The effect was immediate. The ancient vessel's surface patterns became erratic, its perfect form beginning to distort. What is this? The ancient voice demanded, now tinged with something that sounded very much like pain. We didn't just study your technology, Chen explained. We studied you. The archives weren't just warnings. They were a complete scientific database, including detailed analyses of precursor biology and technology. You're not gods. You're just very, very old. And sometimes, old things need to learn new tricks. The Federation fleet, caught between their ancient master and humanity's revealed forces, began to break formation. Some ships turned to flee, only to find their escape routes blocked by more human vessels emerging from quantum gates. Others maintained their positions, weapons charged but holding fire, waiting to see how this impossible situation would resolve. "You think you understand what you're dealing with?" The precursor vessel's voice boomed, though there was now an unmistakable tremor in it. "We guided the evolution of species before your kind learned to make fire." "And that's exactly your problem," Chen responded. "You've been in control for so long, you've forgotten how to adapt. But humanity, adaptation is what we do best." At her signal, the quantum mesh's resonance increased. The precursor vessel's surface began to crack. Ancient alloys stressed beyond their tolerances by frequencies they were never designed to resist. "Last chance," Chen announced, broadcasting to both the Federation fleet and the ancient vessel. "You can retreat, all of you, and we can begin diplomatic discussions as equals. Or you can continue this fight, and we'll show you just how many other surprises we've developed over the past 3 centuries. High Commander Ven's voice cut through the tension. "My forces will stand down. We request negotiations." But the precursor vessel wasn't finished. Its surface suddenly blazed with energy, patterns shifting faster than human eyes could follow. "If we cannot have this system," the ancient voice thundered, "then none shall." What happened next would change the course of galactic history forever. The precursor vessel initiated what the archives had warned might be its final option, a catastrophic release of temporal energy that would effectively erase the solar system from existence. But humanity had prepared for this too. As temporal energy began to warp space around the ancient vessel, thousands of quantum probes activated, their combined effect creating something that hadn't existed in the galaxy for millions of years. A prison for gods. The Federation fleet watched in awe as the precursor vessel was encased in a quantum stasis field, its temporal attack frozen in mid-execution. For the first time in millions of years, one of the ancient masters of the galaxy had been bound by their own technology, improved upon by the very primitive species they had sought to subjugate. "Now then," Chen said into the stunned silence that followed about those diplomatic discussions, "the truth emerges." The diplomatic chamber aboard Olympus Station hummed with tension. Representatives from Earth sat across from the Federation delegation, the captured precursor vessel visible through the quantum-reinforced windows, still trapped in its temporal prison. High Commander Ven's crystalline form reflected the room's light in patterns that suggested deep unease. "The archives were never meant to be found," Ven said, his translator struggling to convey the complex emotions in his voice. "Not by you. Not by anyone. They were supposed to be destroyed." Admiral Chen leaned forward, her dark eyes focused on the Federation leader. "But they weren't destroyed, were they? They were hidden. Specifically hidden in a way that humanity would eventually find them. The question is, who hid them?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Maya Patel burst into the chamber, her usual composed demeanor replaced by barely contained excitement. "Admiral, we've finished decoding the deepest layers of the archive data. You need to see this immediately." The holographic display in the center of the chamber came to life, showing sequences of data that made the Federation representatives shift uncomfortably in their seats. The images showed something impossible. Federation ships, from centuries ago, deliberately placing the archives on Mars. 300 years ago, Dr. Patel explained, a group within the Federation discovered the truth about the precursors. They weren't just ancient beings who guided younger species. They were parasites, moving from civilization to civilization, using the Federation as a tool to prepare new hosts for their eventual transfer. Ven's crystalline form clouded with shame. "The resistance movement. We thought we had eliminated them all." "Not eliminated," Chen corrected. "Sacrificed. They gave their lives to hide the truth where they knew it would eventually be found, on a primitive world that the precursors wouldn't bother to watch too closely. Earth." The holographic display shifted, showing more data from the archives. It revealed the true nature of the precursors, ancient consciousnesses that had long ago abandoned physical form, surviving by transferring themselves into the most advanced species they could find. The Federation wasn't just their army, it was their farm, cultivating potential new host species. Your resistance movement knew humanity had potential, Chen continued. They saw something in us that the precursors had overlooked. While the precursors dismissed us as primitive, the resistance saw our greatest strength, our ability to innovate, to think differently, to solve problems in ways no one else had considered. Dr. Paddle brought up another sequence of data. The archives weren't just warnings and technology. They were a test. If we could find them, understand them, and most importantly, improve upon them, we might be the first species in millions of years capable of breaking the precursor cycle. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just been preparing for an invasion. They had been unknowingly auditioning for a role that the Federation resistance had hoped they could fill. The quantum stasis field holding the precursor vessel. Chen said, gesturing to the imprisoned ancient ship, "It's not based on your technology, is it, Commander Ven?" "Not entirely. It's something new, something that evolved from combining your science with human innovation." Ven's form shifted to a deeper hue, a sign of acknowledgement. No species has ever managed to imprison a precursor before. None have even conceived it was possible. "Because you were all taught to think like them," Dr. Patil interjected, "to follow their rules, their patterns of thought. But humanity, we took their knowledge and asked questions they never considered. We saw possibilities they never imagined." The holographic display changed one final time, showing a message hidden so deeply in the archives that it had taken centuries to find. It was from the leader of the resistance movement, recorded moments before their final sacrifice. "To those who find this, we give you our knowledge, our technology, our understanding of the greatest threat our galaxy has ever faced. But more importantly, we give you freedom from the precursor's influence. Use it wisely. Think differently. And when the time comes, remember that you're not just fighting for your own freedom. You're fighting for every species that has ever been or will ever be touched by their control." Admiral Chen stood, facing the Federation representatives. "So, Commander Ven, the question isn't whether humanity will join your Federation. The question is, will the Federation join humanity in finishing what your resistance movement started 3 centuries ago?" Through the window, the imprisoned precursor vessel pulsed with trapped temporal energy, a testament to humanity's ability to achieve what the galaxy had long thought impossible. The next few moments would determine whether this would be the beginning of a war, or the start of a revolution that would reshape the galaxy itself. New dawn. The next 3 days transformed the political landscape of the galaxy more dramatically than the previous million years. In the Grand Chamber of Olympus Station, Admiral Chen watched as representatives from 100 Federation worlds cycled through, each coming to terms with the revelation that their civilization had been secretly shepherded by parasitic entities for eons. The precursor vessel remained trapped in its quantum prison, a constant reminder of how much had changed. Its once threatening presence had become a symbol of possibility, proof that the seemingly invincible could be defeated through human ingenuity and determination. "The latest reports from the Federation core worlds are in," Lieutenant Rodriguez announced, his youth making him one of the few officers who didn't remember the beginning of Earth's preparations. 87% of member species have pledged support for the new coalition. Chen nodded, unsurprised. The evidence they'd presented was irrefutable, and the Federation species had their own archives to consult now that they knew what to look for. Centuries of inconsistencies suddenly made sense. High Commander Ven, who had become an unexpected ally, approached her position. His crystalline form had taken on a new pattern, one that the archives suggested indicated profound change. "The quantum integration protocols you proposed," he said, his translator now perfectly synced with human speech patterns, "they're unlike anything we've ever considered. Combining Federation quantum technology with human innovation. It creates possibilities we never imagined. That was the point, Dr. Patel interjected, joining them at the observation window. The resistance movement chose humanity because we think differently. We don't just use technology. We reimagine it. The main display activated, showing a galaxy-wide map dotted with thousands of points of light. Each represented a Federation world, and more importantly, each showed the location of a potential precursor sleeper agent. The ancient beings had seated themselves throughout the galaxy, waiting for civilizations to advance enough to serve as suitable hosts. Phase 1 of the Liberation Protocol is complete, Chen announced to the assembled representatives. The quantum detection grid has been successfully deployed to every Federation core world. No precursor consciousness can transfer or activate without immediate detection. But it wasn't just about defense. On the far side of Olympus Station, in laboratories that combined Federation and human technology, Dr. Patel's team had made another breakthrough. The precursor we captured, she explained, bringing up detailed scans of the imprisoned vessel. It's not just trapped, it's teaching us. Every attempt it makes to escape reveals more about how its consciousness works. And the more we understand, the better we can free those they've already taken. Ven finished, his form pulsing with what had become recognizable as excitement. The first test of their liberation technology would begin tomorrow. 3 Federation Council members, long suspected of being precursor hosts, had voluntarily submitted themselves for the procedure. If it worked, it would mark the beginning of a true revolution, not just in technology, but in the very nature of galactic civilization. There's something else, Chen said, turning to address the gathered representatives. Something we haven't shared yet. She nodded to Dr. Patel, who activated a secure data channel. The display changed, showing a star map unlike anything the Federation had seen before. Scattered throughout the galaxy, in regions thought to be empty, were hundreds of human colonies. We didn't just hide our technology, Chen explained. We hid our expansion. While the precursors watched Earth, humanity was spreading, preparing, building. Each colony developed its own specialties, its own innovations. We're not just offering you freedom from the precursors, we're offering you a true partnership, hundreds of worlds, thousands of new perspectives, all thinking differently about problems you've struggled with for millennia. The chamber erupted in excited discussion. Federation species had been conditioned for so long to think within certain boundaries, to approach problems in specific ways. The prospect of hundreds of human colonies, each with its own unique approach to science and technology, represented an opportunity for growth unlike anything they'd experienced in eons. And the precursors? Ven asked quietly. What do we do with them once they're contained? Chen's expression softened slightly. We give them a choice. They can remain in containment, or they can accept transfer to artificial bodies. Bodies that cannot transfer consciousness. They might be ancient, but they're still sentient beings. We won't destroy them if we don't have to. Mercy, Ven observed, his crystalline form reflecting the starlight. Another human trait we underestimated. As the discussions continued, Chen moved to the observation window. Earth was visible in the distance, still appearing as peaceful and primitive as it had when the Federation first arrived. But appearances, as the precursors had learned, could be deceiving. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for this moment, not just to defend itself, but to change the course of galactic history. The Mars archives had given them knowledge, but it was human innovation, determination, and creativity that had transformed that knowledge into something new, something that could free a galaxy. Send the signal, Chen commanded, across the solar system, then spreading to Federation worlds and hidden human colonies alike. A message began to transmit. Operation Dawnbreaker is complete. The new era begins now. In the depths of space, the quantum stasis field holding the precursor vessel pulsed once, steadily, a beacon of hope for species that had lived under shadow for too long. The age of secrets was over. The age of collaboration, of innovation, of true partnership was about to begin. Humanity had not just survived first contact, they had transformed it into something entirely new. And somewhere, Chen liked to think, the Resistance members who had sacrificed everything to hide those archives on Mars were smiling. Their faith in humanity's potential had been well placed indeed.